The first declaration of faith, principle that for a person to become a Muslim, they are required to make a statement publicly. The statement consists of two parts. One, I bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship but Allah. In Arabic, La ilaha illallah. And the second part, and I bear witness that Muhammad was a messenger of Allah. And I bear witness that in Arabic, wa Muhammadun Rasulullah. The first part, this declaration of faith in God, represents a denial of the existence of any other object of worship which may be referred to as God, and that there is only one true God. In Arabic, the name referring to that true God is Allah. But if one refers to that true God as God in English, or deist in Spanish or Latin, or any other language, as long as one is referring to one God who has no partners, no relatives, fathers and sons, brothers and sisters or daughters, then we're speaking about one and the same God. So the issue of the name is not something which because you call God God and we call God Allah, that we're talking about two different entities. As long as the concept remains that one unique God, God who is unique in his attributes. The basic faith requires that one denies any other God besides that God. Secondly, that Muhammad was a messenger of God, meaning that Muhammad was to be followed. Being a messenger of God, his instructions were to be obeyed, and his explanations of the scripture were to be accepted. He represented the medium by which the final message of God was conveyed to humankind. Now, this declaration of faith, as I said, was to be done openly before some members of the community, basically to inform them of the faith, although under circumstances where one's life may be threatened, that it is permissible for one to hide that faith and practice privately until such time as one is able to practice openly. But as a general principle, it should be made as an open statement. Having expressed that, the second pillar is the establishment of prayer. And this is 5 times daily. The idea being that one's day is organized around prayer, recognizing that the human being is a spiritual being as well as a material being, and that the spiritual aspect of that human being is primary. Then the day is organized around prayer. Outside of the times of prayer, of course, one deals with one's daily needs, the material needs. But that the first thing one does in the morning when he gets up, before sunrise, meaning around 6 o'clock, one prays. When one takes a break in the midday, before eating lunch, one again offers prayer. And in the mid-afternoon, immediately after sunset, and in the night before going off to sleep. These are the 5 basic times in the day when prayer is required. Of course, under some circumstances, there are some modifications in the sense that as a traveler, where difficulties may be experienced in praying at these set times, the traveler is allowed to combine or pray two of the prayers together. The midday and the mid-afternoon prayer may be prayed at the same time. And the sunset and night prayer may be prayed together, allowing the person some leeway as a traveler. And people in difficult circumstances may also do that, depending on the type of job one is doing. For example, a person who is a surgeon who may be involved in a 5-hour or 6-hour operation, and prayers, he knows that prayers will come in between, and he will not be able to ask the operating team to hold on for a minute, it takes 5 minutes out to go and pray. He is allowed to combine his prayers in a similar fashion, where there is a legitimate need. Otherwise, the prayer is spread over these points in the day. This goal being, as stated in the Quran itself, that prayer was to be established for the remembrance of God. That through the remembrance of God, human beings become better people, are aware of their actions more, so they would question their actions and try to do what they know to be pleasing to God. This is the basic goal of the 5 times daily prayer. The third principle is that of fasting 1 month in a year. And of course, some of you might wonder, how in the world could you fast for 1 month? And surely you must die, because our fast involves no eating, drinking, or taking anything. You may be familiar with the fast commonly practiced, for example, in Christianity now, which means just giving up meat or giving up something. But fasting in Islamic tradition is like the fast is recorded, practiced by Jesus and Moses, meaning a total fast of not taking any drink or any food, and also not having any sexual relations. Now, this, of course, as I said, may sound impossible over a period of a month, because I'm sure, you would imagine people would be dropping like flies in a course of fasting of that nature. But the fact of the matter is that it isn't a 30-day fast in the sense of 24-hour fast. But people are required to fast from dawn until sunset. Prior to the dawn, they eat a light meal, and immediately after sunset, they can eat again a meal. So the fasting is in the daylight hours, basically. And the goal of that fasting is primarily to develop a sense of self-control, because it's quite well known that much of our desires, or much of the corruption which may take in society, are a result, of some very basic desires. Among them, desires for sex and desires for food, may drive people to commit certain crimes and excesses. So the fasting period is training for the individual to gain control over these desires, and at the same time it is designed to give the individual also a sense of awareness of those who are suffering or feeling the hunger that they're feeling, not by choice, but by the circumstance they find themselves in. So it is also designed to develop in the individual a sense of compassion for the needy, which would then encourage that individual to share some of what he has or she has with those who are needy in the society. As a matter of fact, at the end of the 30-day period of fasting, there is something of a festival known as Eid al-Fitr, or the festival for the breaking of the fast, in which everyone who has any means is required to give some food to